Today we will discuss the images in HTML. Adding images to the web page works through embedding them into the web page with the img tag. This tag is one of the few that are called self-closing tags, and it doesn't have the closing part of the tag since it doesn't include any tag content. All the image parameters are passed through the img tag attributes, and there are two tag-specific attributes that are required or super important for the img tag. The required src attribute to set the path to the image file, and the important alt attribute to set the alternative text that will show up in case the image by the path in the src attribute value is not available for some reason. In the current code sample, we have two img elements set for the page, and the first img has the correct path to the image, so we are expecting the browser just to load that image by that path. For the second img element, I have added this redundant m in the src attribute value, which makes this path an invalid path, and the browser will not be able to load the image by that path. And what happens in this case is that it shows the broken image icon and then displays the alt attribute value. The reasons for the image not to be loaded correctly in the browser might be different, and it's not always the developer's fault. For example, the image might have been moved, removed, or the server that holds the image might be unavailable at the moment. So it's pretty important to set the texts that really describe what the image is about as the value of the alt attribute of the img tag, so that it makes perfect sense for the user what was expected to be loaded here but failed for some reason. Let's now switch to the code editor and add some images to our document. The first thing I want to do here is I want to add a new HTML boilerplate to this document. So I will remove all the content of the document, then type the exclamation mark and hit the tab key to get the new HTML boilerplate. As you remember, all the content we want to be displayed on the web page is expected to be inside of the opening and the closing body tag. So let's create the first image, and I will type img and hit the tab key. So as you can see, the emmet autocompletion has actually created the whole tag syntax for me, and it has automatically added the required src attribute and the important alt attribute. For the image source, I'm going to use the Lorem Pixum project, and to find it, I will open the Google search page and type Lorem space Pixum and hit enter. The first link here leads to the project we were seeking for, so let's click this link and let's find the image path for this beautiful puppy image, copy it and paste into the src attribute in our document. For the alternative text, I will use the message of beautiful puppy and save this. So if we open the tab with our document, we can see that the image was loaded correctly, which means that the path is correct. Now I want to duplicate this image and I want to break the path. So I will just remove some random character. Let's remove this m and save the file. Now the browser was not able to load the second image because the src path is broken, and it has shown this broken image icon and then the alternative text content which says beautiful puppy for us. The img tag also lets us work with local images and to load local images into the web page. By the local image, I mean the image file that is located inside of the project folder, like I have this sample image.jpg file here. Let's actually add another img tag, and for the src attribute, I will just use the file name. So it's sample-image.jpg. Let's save the document and we will see that this image was loaded to the page successfully. Something important I want you to remember is that the images are being loaded in their initial size, and to control this size we can utilize two more attributes which are optional but can be super useful in case we need to decrease the width and the height of the image. So we can use the width attribute with the value of 300. Let's save this. And now, as you can see, the image takes only 300 pixels in width. Let's inspect the element to make sure that the size is 300 pixels. If I hover this sample image element, it will show me the hint box saying that the rendered size is 300 by 325 pixels. So what happened is that we have set the width of the element and the height was adjusted accordingly to meet the aspect ratio attribute of 12:13 that we have here in the hint box. Another attribute that we can utilize to control the dimensions of the image is the height attribute, and it takes the value of a number that represents the number of pixels too. So we can set 325 pixels for now and save the image. Nothing has really changed here, and if we hover the sample image element in the inspector, you will see that the rendered aspect ratio matches the original aspect ratio, so this height is properly set for the width of 300. But if I update the height to be 500 here, we will see that the image will not be scaled properly, and if I hover the same element in the inspector, we will see that the rendered aspect ratio is 3:5, while the original one is 12:13. So it's pretty important to make sure that you're using the proper height to make your image look beautiful. Now let's talk about where we can actually get information about the IMG tag and about the attributes it supports. So we can go to the Google search page and type IMG space AMDN. And the first link here will be the link to the Mozilla Developer Network. Let's click this link, and the documentation here will have a descriptive information about the IMG tag. So first of all, it shows us the usage cases of the IMG tag. Then it shows us the information about the important and required attributes for the IMG tag. Then it has some information about the supported file types list. Then some image loading errors are listed here, and then we have the attributes section. So here's the description for the alt tag. It says defines text that can replace the image in the page. Then let's find the height attribute. It should be somewhere here, and it says the intrinsic height of the image in pixels must be an integer without a unit. That's why we used 300 but not 300 pixels here. And the same thing we did for the height. We used 500 instead of the 500 pixel value. So let's scroll down to the width attribute, and it should say the intrinsic width of the image in pixels must be an integer without a unit. Let's now scroll down to the technical summary table of the IMG tag to figure out what are the valid children of the IMG tag. And the documentation says that the permitted content for the IMG tag is none. And that's actually true, because the IMG tag is a self-closing tag and it doesn't have the closing pair tag here, so we can't wrap any content with the IMG tags. It will actually trigger the invalid HTML error. So let me save this. As you can see, my code formatting tool is not happy. If I run the W3C validator, it will say that this tag is redundant. So let's remove this content and let's discuss the valid parents of the IMG tag. To figure out the valid parents for the IMG tag, we actually need to check the content categories the IMG tag belongs to. And here is a list of content categories, so technically any HTML element that has one of these content categories in the permitted content will be a valid parent. So let's start testing with the heading 1 tag, and I will set the tag, which this tag represents the page heading, and if I copy the working puppy image and insert it inside of the opening and closing heading 1 tag and save the page, as you can see, the prettier is happy. The W3C validator is happy too. No errors or issues are listed. And it happens because the heading 1 permitted content is the phrasing content, and the IMG tag belongs to the phrasing content type. So if I open the page here, we will see that another image of the puppy appeared. Let's inspect this element, and we will see that it is placed inside of the heading 1 tag. So the browser didn't try to fix anything and left the image inside of the heading 1 tag. Let's now test another tag. So we will say P for the next parent, and I will paste the image here again. If I save this, we will see that we have a new image here. In the code of the inspector, we will see that we have the paragraph and the image inside. The paragraph tag has the phrasing content as the permitted content type, so this HTML is valid too. My code formatting tool is happy, the W3C validator is happy, looks good. Let's now test the link. So I will set the anchor tag, and then I will place the image inside, and for the href attribute of the anchor tag, I will set the path to the google.com page. Let's save the file. Let's now scroll down in our web page, and let's check out the last puppy. When I hover it, we can see this hand to appear, which means that the current image is actually a link. Let's click the image, and it will redirect us to the google.com page, which means that the image can be wrapped with the anchor tag, and the image can be a link to a different page or to a different website. The next parent I want to test is the unordered list, and the unordered list doesn't actually support anything except for the list items inside. So I will create the list item here. Just to make sure you understand this, we cannot paste the image inside of the unordered list, since the unordered list supports only list item tags inside. Actually, it's 0 or more list items. So what I want to do is I want to insert the img tag directly inside of the list item. And I want to duplicate a couple more list items here so that we have the list of images. Let's save this, and we will get this list with the disk going before each or every next list item, which means that the img tag or img element can be a valid child of the list item, or the list item can be a valid parent for the img tag. Let's actually run the W3C validator to make sure it's happy with that move, and it is. The code formatting tool is happy. The browser has rendered the unordered list with list items and the img elements inside. Both the anchor tag and the list item element have the flow content as the permitted content category, and the img tag belongs to the flow content, which makes this HTML valid. And the last element we want to test is the table element, and you probably know that the table element has only the T optional tags or the TR tag as valid children, so it's not a good place to insert the img tag. Let's create the TR tag, which is actually a valid child of the table, but the TR tag can contain only th and td tags. No other content is permitted, so it's also not a good place to insert an img tag. But if I create the th tag and then a td tag, these two tags support the flow content as the permitted content category, which makes the img tag a valid child of these two tags. Let's insert the img and save the document. Let's take a look at the document. We should have two elements aligned horizontally, since they are table cells of a single table row, to appear on our web page. Let's now talk about the common issues the developers might have utilizing the img tag, and we have already discussed one of those issues it's when the developer has made a typo in the path value to the image. So another really common mistake all developers do is the wrong spelling of the src attribute. I often see this attribute name, which will not actually let anything to be rendered, and it will return the broken image icon and the alternative text instead. If I fix this attribute name to be src again and save the file, boom, the image is now loading successfully. The img element is an inline element by default, which means that if we add some more images to the document and save the document, every next image will try to fit the same line with the previous image. In case there is not enough space in the line to fit the next image, it will move to the next line, but still every next image will try to fit the same line. Speaking of the attributes, the img element supports not only the tag-specific attributes like src and the alt attribute, but also supports all the global attributes, so we can add the id to the img element, and we also add the class name. Let's say that the id for this image will be image6, and the class is going to be page image.